hear us? Yep.
Hello, and welcome to a new edition of ECLECTICKA. I am Seven, and we have our co-host Constantine. Constantine, will you do the honors of our special guest today?
Oh, with pleasure. We have technical malfunction. He's an authority on the Silver Age of comics. I love this book, man. I love this book. It's also an authority on the Twilight Zone. And that John Cougar Mellencamp wannabe, Bruce Springsteen.
How dare you take the Lord's name?
The design project premieres this week. We welcome back the sensei of the Silver Age.
I love it.
Champion of artists and creator credit. The award-winning illustrator, designer, author, writer, oh my goodness, and Print Magazine's Designer of the Week. Congratulations, you're on fire. Super friend and the Superman, Arlen Schumer.
Hey, Constantine. Hey, Seven. So great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming again.
Yeah. Talk to me, boys.
Your new exhibit. Let's just jump into it.
Yep.
We got half an hour. So your new exhibit. Let's get out of the way. When and where is it?
Okay, I'm doing an exhibit for the Type Directors Club of New York called The Super Type of Ira Schnapp. The reason why you have no idea who Ira Schnapp is because nobody knows who he is, except he was the letterer for DC Comics who designed every DC Comics logo you can think of, including the biggest one of all, Superman, Action Comics, Flash, Green Lantern, all the Silver Age logos. But he not only did that, but he also designed the Roman lettering on top of the Penn Station post office in New York City that reads neither rain nor snow nor gloom of night. He not only designed those letters, he also designed the Roman letters on top of the New York Public Library. And New Yorkers don't know his name. Nobody knows him. He died in 1969. But I've always loved his lettering without even knowing who his name was. But over the years, I found out Ira Schnapp. And now, because I met people that run the Type Directors Club in New York City, it's a trade group for advertising, graphic designers, art directors, people who work with type. When I told them the same guy that designed the Superman logo did the Roman lettering, they loved it. And they gave me their whole space, which is a beautiful, small, like exhibit area, to design an exhibit of Ira Schnapp's logos and those incredible house ads that he did. That hand lettering, I've always loved them. It's influenced my own lettering. And I'm getting to blow them up poster size. I'm getting to blow up the Superman logo 14 feet long.
14 feet.
More? You know, there is no off switch. You got to tell me okay, turn it off now.
Now that's amazing.
Is the Type Directors sponsoring it?
Yes, along with a production studio called A2A Studios in Stamford, Connecticut, not too far away from where I live in Westport. They're making all of these beautiful giant prints that I would never be able to do on my own because it would be, we're talking about the price for that printing. So they work together to promote exhibits at the Type Directors Club. So that's given me the opportunity, the platform I'm blowing things up. Dean, I don't know if you got your email because I just sent you the pictures, but I'm getting to blow up these images that, again, all comic fans have seen these, especially if you grew up with the DC Silver Age. You know those house ads, Just Imagine, for the Justice League of America. Like I said, every DC logo you can think of, including the Justice League of America, which, Dean, I think is, Constantine, it's one of your favorite ones.
Yeah, that's the one. So he did the one with the shield?
Yeah.
That's a Justice League of America.
Yeah. The Flash logo, Green Lantern. I mean, every DC logo from that era, all the cover lettering, the Batman logo from 1965 that Carmine Infantino did the artwork for, but those are Schnapp's letters, which he refined from the original Jerry Robinson letters from 1940.
Yeah.
Superman.
Can you tell us a little bit more about his life, like how he got into things and how come nobody knows who he is?
Okay. First of all, the reason nobody knows is up until, Marvel came along with Stan Lee crediting letterers and I don't think they credited the colorist in Marvel Comics, but I know they credited the letterer. That was the first time, I think, in comics history where the letterer is credited. Even the great EC Comics, which started credits really in the sense of an editorial policy, really I think only credited the writer and the artist. Didn't credit the letterer, or, you know what I mean? So the idea that nobody knows who Ira Schnapp is because, like I said, DC Comics, we grew up with the Kurt Swan Superman. We didn't even know his name until like years later. We loved Dick Sprang's Batman. We never knew the name Dick Sprang. So part of the problem with comic book history is so many of the greats are unknown or little known, you know? So that's part of, you know, the blessing and the curse of comics history is this great, beautiful history, but nobody knows about it. So the job of all of us is to, at least my job, is to keep it alive.
Right,
So
you are the comic book historian, I gotta say that.
And to bring it alive verbally and visually, like I'm being able to do it. But this is all roundabout 7 to answer your question. Mm-hmm. Schnapp, like all of us Eastern European immigrant Jews on the East Coast of America, he came from Austria. My father's side of the family is either from Austria or Hungary, somewhere in that area. A village called Sasau. And he came from a family of stonecutters. One of the images in the show is the Schnapp family crest, which, you know, looks like this medieval, you know, knight in shining armor thing. But obviously that influence, he came to America, I think he was born in like 1890 or something like that. And he came to America in the teens, again, with all those hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Eastern Europe in that era, especially the Jewish population, because they were fleeing the pogroms from Russia and all that stuff that was going on in the late 19th century. So he comes here to America in New York, and as a teenager, he must have shown an affinity for being able to draw classical letters from his stonecutter background, that he got the job in 1912 when they were building the Penn Station Post Office to design those letters. Or I think forget which came first, the Public Library on 42nd Street or the Penn Station, whichever one, he did one and then he did the other. I have the exact dates, but it's like 1912, 1914, and he designs those Roman letters. Neil Adams, the great Neil Adams, who worked with Schnapp. Adams came to DC Comics in 1967. Schnapp left in 1968, kind of forcibly retired. But Neil Adams was 26 years old. He got to know Schnapp, and Schnapp pulled out these giant tracing paper pieces with the letters drawn, which were given to the stonecutters to put onto the stone like a stencil and cut around.
That's how it was done.
When I was in art school, Rhode Island School of Design, freshman year or sophomore year in graphic design, one of our exercises was we had to draw Roman letters with the thicks and the thins and the serifs on big giant pieces of paper. So in a roundabout way, I know exactly what Neil Adams was talking about. So the point is after Schnapp does those things, it's the 1920s. He takes other lettering jobs in New York City. He does, because of the government connection with the post office, he gets to design stamps in the 19 teens, you know, not the 20s, but in the teens after the post office job. So people don't know that Ira Schnapp designed the Comics Code stamp in the upper right corner of every comic book you grew up with. People take that stuff for granted. Well, Ira Schnapp designed that. And where did he get that stamp-like look of efficiency? From designing stamps for the U.S. Post Office. Yeah. Then in the 30s, he does movie lobby cards in New York City. You know, the images you see when you go to the movie theater, they're like horizontally rectangles. Murphy Anderson of DC Comics, the legend, made a comment that in that era of the 30s, because they were all kids then, teenagers, you couldn't go to Times Square and not be surrounded, he said, by Ira Schnapp's lettering. Then he starts doing pulp magazine logos, spicy adventure stories with the lurid, you know, females on them. All of these images are in the Type Directors Club show I've designed. and you'll see them there. But so the early comics publishers were into pulp. So somehow from that, he got the job at the fledgling DC Comics or National, whatever they were called in the mid to late 30s. And one of his first logos is to design the Action Comics logo. I have an image in my lecture that I'll be doing opening night this Thursday at the Type Directors Club of what's called the Ash Can edition of Action Comics 1. It's black and white. It was only printed to secure the copyright. And then it's, in a sense, thrown away, hence the name Ash Can, because they were just done for copyright, thrown away. From there, so that lettering of Action Comics, that might not have been Schnapp's original design. Maybe somebody earlier did that. But once he did that, he was off and running, and he became the DC logo designer all through the 40s and into the 50s.
And to be clear, a letterer basically does the logos.
Not necessarily. Okay. Not all letterers, I think, do logos, and not all logo designers can do the text lettering. I think Ira Schnapp was able to text letter, but not too often. I think he mostly was the cover, all the lettering on the covers. I mean, there's like text, lettering in the balloons and captions on the art pages. And then there's all the type that had to go on the cover. So there's the cover type, featuring in this issue, all that stuff. And then there's, the logo itself. Hold on one second. I just want to get an image I have right here to show you what I mean.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is.
But it's sad how so many people put so much time and energy into things and they just disappear from history.
Just disappear and get
Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
That's a great example. I know, Dean, you love this cover.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of this lettering, in addition to the two logos that Schnapp designed, he not only designed the Detective Comics logo, he designed that Batman logo, which again is a refinement of the original Jerry Robinson letters. But look how much Schnapp's lettering plays a part on the design of the cover itself.
Wow. You
You read those words, look how excitingly they're written, because he brought type to life. That was the magic of Schnapp.
I know he really incorporated the character into the lettering as well, because he did the Metal Men, right?
Yes.
And you can see the rivets.
Exactly.
Like
In other words, Schnapp, in my lecture,
watery feel to it.
Exactly.
And Spectre, he gave that spooky, ghostly, feeling to it. Hand lettering, are they doing that anymore in comics, or are they all computerized?
Well, again, even on the computer nowadays with the certain tablets, you can kind of draw on the computer. I can't speak for other letterers because I'm not really in touch with them. I don't know what they do. I imagine every letter is on the computer, but whether you're drawing the letters by hand on paper and scanning it in and then developing it, or drawing it on the computer via the various tools, to me, logos have a warmth when there's the element of the hand, even the art itself. Yeah. In my artwork, I try to combine the hand-drawn line on paper with computer coloring. So that's my whole style, which, by the way, you'll be able to see in the poster I designed for the exhibit and lecture that you'll be able to buy at the show and online. So I'm getting that little plug in there. But all of my lettering, I either do by hand on paper and then bring it in the computer, or I do it in the computer, but there's still an element of the hand in there. And I can always tell the difference between lettering and logos that have that, what I call the human warmth, the organicness. And if it's totally on the computer, there's a coldness to it.
Yeah, it's a lost art. Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep Schnapp alive in my own work and in the exhibit and the stuff that I'm doing with the Schnapp exhibit.